Hello everyone, thank you for joining me. I'm Kerry. Today I'll be showing you how to crochet a water lily, which I've designed to add to a blanket I'm working on. When crocheted using 8-ply yarn and a 3mm hook, the large one, the size is 7 centimeters square or 2 3/4 inches square. The medium water lily, crocheted using 4-ply crochet cotton and a 1.5mm hook, is 5.5 centimeters square or 2 1/4 inches square. These small water lilies, crocheted using 2-ply crochet cotton and a 1mm hook, are 4.5 centimeters square or 1 3/4 inches square. I'll be using Catona cotton today, so the size will be a bit smaller than this large one. I'll tell you the size at the end of the video. I'll be using Catona cotton. I'll be using 106 Snow White for the flower and 208 Yellow Gold for the centre part. I've got a darning needle to weave in the ends and to attach the centre to the flower. I've got a 2.5mm crochet hook and scissors. I'll use the end of the yarn to stitch the centre on. Now I'm going to start on the flower centre. I've got my 208, the yellow gold, and we start with a magic loop. There's lots of ways to make a magic loop, so make it how you feel most comfortable. I just put my hook on the yarn, bring the short end over the hook and then the long end over the short end to make a circle. Put the yarn around the hook and bring my hook with the yarn at the end through the circle. And that's my magic loop. And then I start with one chain. Into our circle we're going to work 5 single crochet. A single crochet is a double crochet using UK terms. For a single crochet we put our hook into the circle and bring up a loop, yarn around the hook and take our hook with the yarn at the end through both loops. So we need 4 more single crochet into our circle. Then we pull the circle tight, so we take hold of this tail and just ease it in as tight as you can, and we join with a slip stitch in the front loop only of our first stitch. Now that's the back loop there and this is the front loop, so just in this front loop we put our hook in and bring through a loop and take it straight through the loop on the hook. For row 2 we start with 3 chain. We'll miss the first chain and work 1 slip stitch in each of the 2 remaining chain. And then we're going to slip stitch into the front loop only of our next stitch, so just in here, and we're going to repeat that. Work 3 chain, miss the first chain and work 1 slip stitch in each of the 2 remaining chain, and then slip stitch into the front loop of the next stitch, and then 3 chain, miss the first chain and work 1 slip stitch in each remaining chain, and then slip stitch in the front loop only of our next stitch. And we need 2 more of these little spokes. 3 chain, miss the first chain and work 1 slip stitch in each remaining chain, and then slip stitch into the front loop only of our next stitch, and we need one more, 3 chain. Miss our first chain and work 1 slip stitch in each remaining chain, and then slip stitch into the front loop only of our next stitch. And that's row 2 done. For row 3 we're going to be working into the back loop of row 1. So in behind each spoke we've got a loop left, so this loop here. So slip stitch into that, and for this row we're going to work 2 of these spokes in each of the back loops. So we start with 3 chain, miss the first chain and work 1 slip stitch in each remaining chain, and then slip stitch into that same stitch. Work 3 chain, miss 1 chain and work 1 slip stitch into each of the 2 remaining chain, and then slip stitch into that same stitch. Then work 3 chain, miss the first chain and work 1 slip stitch in each remaining chain, and then slip stitch into the back loop only of the next stitch of row 1, and then 3 chain, miss the first chain and work 1 slip stitch in each remaining chain, and then slip stitch into the same stitch. And we'll repeat that 3 chain, miss the first chain and work 1 slip stitch in each of the 2 remaining chain, and slip stitch into the next stitch, and then we'll work another one in that same stitch, 3 chain, miss the first chain and work 1 slip stitch in each remaining chain, and then slip stitch into the same stitch, and just repeat around like that, working 2 of these little spokes into each stitch. And it doesn't really matter if you lose count, as long as you've got quite a few little spokes. When I fasten off, I leave a bit of a longer tail, and I'll use that to attach it to the flower. And these little spokes will go up like that. So that's the flower centre done. Now for the flower part, I've got my 106, the Snow White, and we start with a magic loop. And work 1 chain, then we work 8 single crochet into our circle. We pull our circle tight and join with a slip stitch in the front loop only of our first stitch, so just in here. Now we're going to work 8 petals in the front loop, and then we'll work 8 petals into the back loop. So for the petals in the front loop, they'll all be worked the same. We'll start with 7 chain. We'll work 1 slip stitch in the second chain from the hook, then 1 half double crochet into the next chain. A half double crochet is a half treble using UK terms. For a half double crochet, we put the yarn around the hook, hook into the chain and bring up a loop, yarn around the hook, and take the hook with the yarn at the end through all the loops. Then we work 1 double crochet into each of the next 3 chain. A double crochet is a treble using UK terms. For a double crochet, we put the yarn around the hook, hook into the next chain and bring up a loop, yarn around the hook, take the hook with the yarn at the end through 2 loops, yarn around the hook, hook with the yarn at the end through 2 loops. So 1 double crochet into each of the next 2 chain as well. And work 1 single crochet into the last chain. That just makes it a bit narrower near the bottom and easier to fit into the stitch. And then we slip stitch into the front loop only of the next stitch. Then we work 7 chain. We miss the first chain and work 1 slip stitch in the second chain from the hook, 1 half double crochet into the next chain, then 1 double crochet into each of the following 3 chain, and 1 single crochet into our last chain. Then we slip stitch into the front loop only of the next stitch, and then work 7 chain. We work 1 slip stitch in the second chain from the hook, 1 half double crochet into the next chain, then 1 double crochet into each of the following 3 chain, then 1 single crochet into the last chain, and slip stitch into the front loop only of the next stitch of row 1 and then work 7 chain. We work 1 slip stitch in the second chain from the hook, 1 half double crochet into the next chain, 1 double crochet into each of the following 3 chain, and 1 single crochet into the last chain, and slip stitch into the front loop only of the next stitch. We work 7 chain, one slip stitch in the second chain from the hook, 1 half double crochet into the next chain, 1 double crochet into each of the following 3 chain, and 1 single crochet into the last chain, and then slip stitch into the front loop only of the next stitch, and we'll just work 3 more petals the same. We slip stitch just in the last stitch there, and then that's row 2 done. For row 3 we slip stitch in the back loop of the first stitch from row 1, so just down in here. I bend the petals up because it makes it slightly easier. and then we work 8 chain, we slip stitch into the second chain from the hook, then work 1 half double crochet into the next chain, 1 double crochet into the following chain, and then we'll work 1 treble into each of the following 3 chain. A treble is a double treble using UK terms. For a treble we put the yarn around the hook twice, hook into the stitch and bring up a loop, yarn around the hook, take our hook with the yarn at the end through 2 loops, yarn around the hook, hook with the yarn at the end through 2 loops, then yarn around the hook and hook with the yarn at the end through 2 loops. We need 1 more treble into each of the next 2 stitches, and then we'll work 1 half double crochet into the last chain, and then slip stitch into the back loop only of the next stitch of row 1, and each of our petals will be worked like that. 8 chain, work 1 slip stitch in the second chain from the hook, 1 half double crochet into the next chain, 1 double crochet into the following chain, and then 1 treble into each of the next 3 chain. And 1 half double crochet into our last chain, slip stitch into the back loop only of the next stitch of row 1 and make another petal. 8 chain, slip stitch into the second chain from the hook, 1 half double crochet into the next chain, 1 double crochet into the following chain, 1 treble into each of the next 3 chain, and 1 half double crochet into our last chain. Then slip stitch into the back loop only of the next stitch, and work 8 chain. Slip stitch into the second chain from the hook, 1 half double crochet into the next chain, 1 double crochet into the following chain, one treble into each of the next 3 chain, then 1/2 double crochet into the last chain and slip stitch into the back loop only of the next stitch, and then just repeat like that, 8 chain. Slip stitch in the second chain from the hook, one half double crochet into the next and 1 double crochet into the following chain, one treble into each of the next 3 chain, one half double crochet into the last chain and slip stitch into the back loop only of the next stitch, and we need 3 more petals like that. And I need 1 more. And once we get our 8th petal done, we fasten off. And that's the flower part done. I'll just weave in the ends for the flower. I won't weave in the ends for the centre, and I'll be back and we'll put it together. Now there's the pieces. I've got the flower and the centre. To make it up, all I do is stitch the centre in the middle there of the flower with these ends. So I'll do that and I'll be back to show you the finished water lily. There's the finished water lily. The size is 6 centimetres square or 2 1/4 inches square. If you've liked my video, please like, subscribe and share. I'm also on Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest and Twitter. The details are in the description below, along with the details of my website where I have my patterns, the details of my Facebook group and the details of my Patreon. Thank you for watching. See you next time. Bye.